Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 18. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. So, I'm still not playing any video games because busy with 30 Days of Comics, which is recording now
Yeah.
and will probably start in October. Because I don't know, it just feels like it's a good time to start at the beginning of the month, and
Yeah.
day one is on the first day of the month and day two is on the second day. um and it's been going pretty well. I've actually had one series that I felt was incredibly good, and I will buy it someday, and I've had some that are incredibly bad, and I'm sorry I read them. um But when you pick 30 of any medium, books, songs, movies, anime, whatever, anime is not a medium, but 30 of any,
It's a genre, but yeah.
30 fruits, it's not even a genre, it's just
I
animation
guess
in
it's a
Japan.
style, yeah. Or
Mm.
yeah. Well, it's
Even
it's
then, it's
it's
not exactly
become a
a style, but
style, but I don't know.
there
But yeah.
there is a stereotypical anime style. But yes, anyway, you pick 30 of something, you're gonna get duds
Yeah.
almost always. Hopefully, you get some good ones in there, but it should be an interesting series. The hardest part of it is really the comics. I'm not reading an entire run of comics. I'm usually only reading the first several issues, whatever's available on Comixology Unlimited, which is very, very not unlimited. Um, so it's kind of hard to judge something that I've only read part of. It's like watching the first 20 minutes of a movie and then trying to review it.
Huh. Yeah, I guess
You know, it's
I guess that's fitting because comics are a lot different than television. So, like Jim and the Holograms, you were able to watch what 10 episodes or whatever, and get a
five,
feel
but yeah.
for or five. Yeah, and get a feel for the entire series. But comics, because it's like you get an entire storyline across 30 different issues. Yeah, it's more like watching the first 10 minutes of a movie or something if you're only reading like three issues.
Yeah. I think in all cases I've read as much as was available. I think the only one I didn't was Walking Dead, because Walking Dead, I think all of it is available.
Yeah.
And that's an enormous amount of content. I didn't really have time to read the entire series. So I just read the first volume, the first collection, which is like, I don't know, 6 issues or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, even the TV show hasn't gone through the entire comics run yet.
Yeah, the TV
And
show's like on season 6 or
six or
something.
seven, something
And
like
then they've
that.
got a spin-off, Fear the Walking Dead, which I think is in its second season, or maybe it's
Yeah,
third.
it's going to start at second. Or
Second.
is it?
Third? I don't
No,
know.
no, no, no. They just finished their second season, so they're going into their third.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, that one's not as good as the Walking Dead TV show. It's just the characters are just no fun at all. They're terrible characters. Not like terrible people, not people that you just don't like or whatever. They're
Hmm.
just terribly written characters. Have no real motivation, no
Yeah.
nothing interesting going on.
Yeah, that's I talk about this in some of my 30 Days of Comics episodes, but one thing that's always a struggling point for me is if I don't like the protagonists. Uh,
Yeah.
it it becomes difficult to enjoy the rest of the work. If I
Yeah.
can't get behind the protagonist, it's just hard for me. I'm actually right now reading Scott Pilgrim, and I'll
Okay.
talk about the movie because the movie was based on the comic strip, or the comic series. I liked the movie.
Hmm.
I like a lot about the movie, but I don't really like Scott. Scott is just kind of a jerk. He's I don't like him, but everyone around. Have you seen the Scott
Yeah, I've
Pilgrim
seen the
movie?
movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scott is kind of a putz. I really don't like the guy, but everyone else is cool. So
Yeah.
I kind of put up with the lead character because everyone else is cool. The premise of the movie is neat. The visual style that Edgar Wright explores throughout the movie is fascinating. So I can get over that if the rest of the work is
good. The way I watched them, when I watched the movie, I kind of figured that was the whole point, where Scott was just kind of a dork, somebody that, not too likable, but likable enough to get you through it. But the main draw of the movie were the other characters, the exes, and the characters around Scott. But
yeah, and he does have an arc. I don't remember what the theatrical version ended with, because
the theatrical version, they ended it with him hooking up with Ramona, even though it was Knives who he ended up with in the comic. So
I think I remember the not really thinking the theatrical version was the best version, and then they had one of the alternate endings on the DVD. I said that actually thematically and story-wise makes more sense, if I'm remembering correctly.
It's the same thing with I Am Legend, where the original ending didn't test well with test audiences, and so they changed the ending.
Yeah, everyone wants to end up with it's an interesting premise because on its face, it sounds like one of those women as reward kind of scenarios.
Yeah.
Like, I have to fight the 7 pages, and my reward is the girl. Not exactly. The having to fight the 7 evil exes is really framed as a consequence of dating Ramona, rather than Ramona being the reward for conquering these 7 challenges.
Yeah.
He's dating her throughout the fights. He dates her first. This is just a consequence of dating her, rather than what he has to do in order to earn the right to win the prize, so to speak. So so kudos on the author for not falling into that trap. I find that I think I like the movie better because it's better paced. The comic is longer. It's just kind of it feels like it doesn't need to be as long as it is. I just kind of feel the movie's better paced. But
okay.
But Knives gets a lot more to do in the book. She actually attacks Ramona with knives.
Nice.
Which is a really great scene because it does the whole for some reason these people have superpowers, and so she's jumping off the 5th floor of a building, and Ramona rips a pipe off a wall to block her. It's just a ton of fun. It's a shame that stuff didn't make it into the film, but you can only do so much. Nevertheless.
I would love to read more comics, but I don't have any patience with comics as a medium, because every now and then I'll pop into the local comic shop and browse their selection, but I'll pick up a comic that looks interesting, and then I'll actually just sit there and read it in 10 minutes, and it doesn't end. I'm like, okay. I would have loved to have continued this, but it's like for $4 an issue, I'm not really willing to take that up. I'm more of a graphic novel kind of guy. So if I can get an entire storyline bound into a single graphic novel, I'll pick that up and I'll be willing to buy that and read it. But single issues, I can't do.
I don't want to spoil which comic it is. You'll have to watch my series. But there is one series in the show that I've already shot the episode for that I thought was fantastic, and I absolutely will be purchasing the entire series. Unfortunately, it's still being written. I think they're on like episode or issue 40 or something like that. And I'm the kind of, I don't like doing the month-to-month thing.
Yeah,
Certainly not issue to issue, but I don't really want to go trade paperback to trade paperback either. I want to buy the entire thing and binge read it.
exactly.
It's kind of like, even if a show, for example, I'll probably watch season 2 of Attack on Titan, which comes out, I think, next spring, because I quite enjoyed the first season. But I probably won't watch it until the entire thing is out and I can actually just watch the whole thing rather than watch half an hour a week.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way with comic books. I want the entire story. I don't want to read up to issue 40 and then have to wait another 2 months for the next issue. And I want the whole story now. So I'm
Yeah.
a binge reader, watcher, everything. I'm
Yeah.
actually kind of binging the Yakuza series right now, because I started with 3 like back in April and I'm playing up through 5.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. See, I with physical comics, yeah, I have no patience with the issues, monthly issues and stuff, but I do tend to enjoy some web comics. No, I'm not talking like
Oh,
Penny
sure.
Arcade or Control Alt Delete or anything like that, where it's just strip comics. I'm
Hmm.
talking like actual web
Continuous
comics. There's
story. Yeah.
continuous story ones, and there's one that I'm really enjoying right now, and it just finished its chapter 4, and the writer and artist, she's moving into chapter 5, not this coming week, but the week after. She takes a week off
Mm.
after every chapter. It's called Wildlife. It's wild like Oscar Wilde, so WILDE, wildlife.com, and that one's really good. And her it's a story about a writer from Chicago. I think it's Chicago. He moves to a podunk, no name town in Oklahoma, and ends up in supernatural adventures. He rents a house off Craigslist, which has a ghost haunting it. He makes friends with a teenage werewolf, and in chapter 4, you get to meet a witch that lives in the town that he made friends with, and it's a really good series. I like it. And then she had a sci-fi comic series before that called Zap, and that one's zapcomic.com, and that one's completely done. You can just go to that website and just binge the entire thing. I did that over the course of 2 weeks, and I really enjoyed that. The art at the beginning of it, I didn't quite like, but she perfected her style for that particular comic, and about a quarter to a third of the way in, she perfects her style, and it looks really good after that. But yeah, two
Yeah.
good comics. If you want anybody watching this wants to check those out, definitely recommend them.
Yeah, it is actually really interesting seeing, especially for webcomics, seeing someone's style evolve over the years. Because there are a lot of webcomics that run for a decade. And hang on a second. So someone in the chat was asking if Comixology has Planet of the Apes. Oh, I thought, Jordan, I thought you were asking, do they have Planet of the Apes and Star Trek on that website? Yeah, they do. There are a lot of Planet of the Apes comics that are under the Unlimited brand, but you just said Planet of the Apes versus Star Trek, so I'm not sure.
I didn't
check.
realize there was a Planet of the Apes versus Star Trek.
Oh
That
yeah,
would be very
there
interesting
is. Yeah, I
series.
see it. It's written as Star Trek / Planet of the Apes, but yeah, it's there. It's not on the Unlimited program,
Huh.
unfortunately. Yeah, so there's a couple of continuous story comics I read. A lot of times I'll just forget about them for a year and then remember them and go back and read up to where I left off. Although a lot of times it's hard to remember, browsing through the archives trying to find where I left off.
Yeah.
But
That
yeah.
was something that was really cool about the Zap comic, and this is something, a feature I've never seen before. They actually have a save system where you can save your page
Does it
and
cookie?
then reload it up. Yeah, it sets a cookie on your computer.
Cool.
And then you just hit the load save, and it pulls you back up to the page you're on. That's something I haven't seen in any other comics before, and so
Yeah,
that's a neat feature.
All right, so let us return to the bucket list. Haven't done that in a while. And I'm actually going to add one myself because this is something that just popped into my head a while ago. So, first one, Zachary, have you ever been in the back of a police car?
No, not the back. Been in the front seat, like
Oh,
the
really?
passenger seat.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't I don't know how, if this was any particular uh, um, what's the word I'm looking for, procedure that they usually do. But back when I was a teenager, I got pulled over for speeding, and the cop had me come and sit in his in the passenger seat in
Hmm.
the front, and so that he could talk to me or whatever. It wasn't raining or anything. It was just that was what he ended up doing. So, but I've never been in the back of a cop car though. So,
Yeah,
but I did get a ticket out of that one. So because I
not a
was going
lot of leg
85
room
and a
in
65.
there. Ooh. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
I've been in the back of a police car. I wasn't under arrest though. I think I'd run out of gas, and the police officer drove me to a gas station so that I could get a jerry can full of gas and go back to my car and put a gallon in so I could drive. So, um, wasn't very far, so I rode about a mile each way
Yeah.
uh, in the back of a police car. But there, at least in the one I was in, there was that metal screen
Yeah.
separating the front seat from the back, and I remember there not being a ton of leg room. Uh, and I'm
Usually
not
not.
I'm
Yeah.
6 foot. I'm not super tall, but I am leggy though. So yeah. All right. So
Yeah. I don't think there would ever be much legroom because usually those barriers have to go all the way down
yeah.
so that
Well, so you
crooks
can't
can't
shove a
reach
knife
under the seat.
through the seat or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget which movie it is. I have an image of someone punching through the back of a cop car, through the chest of the driver, and grabbing the steering wheel. Is that Terminator 3? Is that the TX machine in the? I think that might be what.
Sounds vaguely some familiar. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think that's what it is. Um, Hawks, I can't pronounce your name. I can't say your name if I like Star Trek. I don't know how it's pronounced. But yeah, I like Star Trek well enough. I haven't seen any of the modern ones, the J.J. Abrams ones. Um, but I've seen the original movies, the original cast movies, and I've seen, I think, all but the last Next Generation movies. And
Mm.
I'm kind of a soft fan of Star Trek. I like some of it. I'm not someone who watches the show, and I'm not like, oh my god, Star Trek, gotta go see the movie. But I eventually do see them, and half the time I quite enjoy them. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've watched most of the movies. I'm trying to think. I still haven't seen Star Trek Generations, and I don't think I've ever watched Star Trek Five.
oh, there's
I
it's
know. Well, I don't. Well,
Shatner
maybe I
directed
don't
that
know.
one,
It was
so
the
it's kind of
one.
interesting to watch.
I know I've watched the first one, the second one, the third one, and then I watched the one where they go back in time.
That's four.
That's four. Okay, so maybe I did watch five because five is when they go to the frozen prison planet, right?
That's six, I
Or
think.
is that six? Okay,
Five is the one where they meet God, and Shatner asks him what God needs with a starship.
yeah. Okay,
What does
so I
God
guess
need with a
yeah.
starship?
So I guess I haven't seen five, but I have seen six then, and I'm pretty sure I've seen all the next generation movies except for Generations, and but I liked Next Generation the series, and I watched a bunch of Deep Space Nine, but I never watched the entire series end to end. So
I've seen episodes of the original series and Next Generation. Um, I'm not much of a TV guy, so
yeah,
but there were some episodes I enjoyed, and some I was like, meh. Codename Z, welcome. You're 20 minutes late, but we
yeah.
haven't been discussing. Well, everything we discuss is super important. This is Molehill Mountain. Okay, so continuing on with the bucket list. Have you ever been downhill skiing?
No, I have not. My parents went while I was on my mission in England, and they took my little brothers, and and so I missed out on that trip. But I haven't been able to go since then. So no, I've never been. What about you?
Yes, only once, I think. Been to the snow, been sledding a couple times, but skiing I think was only once. And I seem to recall mentioning this on the podcast before, but I got hit in the head with the back of the ski lift.
Yeah,
Um, so I was riding the ski lift up, and you're supposed to let the chair kind of push you into a standing position, and then you just take off down the hill. Well, as soon as my skis touched ground, I tried to actually stand up, and I just pitched over forward, sat up, and the chair just slams into the back of my head. They had to stop the entire. I was fine, but they stopped. They're like, "Oh my god, we just killed somebody with a chairlift." No, I'm fine. And then whoever was driving, I was, I don't know, 12 to 14, somewhere in that time. So I was in the back seat of whatever truck. I think this was like a Boy Scout trip or something. And our vehicle slipped on the ice and went. Everyone was fine. We didn't hit any people or cars or trees, but that was a wee
yeah.
moment. All right, ever been water skiing?
I have. I was never very good at it. I couldn't get myself to stand for more than a couple seconds. So yeah.
Ye- Same way. I've tried
Yeah.
water skiing and sucked at it. You know, you lean back and you put your skis up like that, and you're holding the thing, and they're like, "Okay, gun it!" What? And just pitch forward. I don't think I ever actually got up.
Yeah.
We did have my aunt and uncle. This was their boat and stuff, but they did have like a or a rubber inflatable boat thingy, like a sausage with floats on the side, so it didn't spin like a barrel in the water,
Hmm.
and you could sit on top of it and be dragged across the water. So, and you could put a bunch. If you've ever seen Jaws 2, they have one of those in that
Yeah.
movie. Um, Banana boat, maybe they're called. I have no idea, but uh, I've been on that. That I can ride that. I sucked at skiing. Of course, I was probably like 8 or something, but
Huh.
maybe I'd be better today. Who knows? Um, Codename C says I don't look the same. Did I change something on my head? Same outfit, but I'm growing my hair out, so my hair is laying funny. I'm like it every time I comb it. I usually brush my hair back, and because I usually keep it like an inch, but it's like 2 inches now, and I comb it back and it just sticks straight out. So I'm like parting it like this, and it's my hair is really, really wavy, very curly
Hmm.
hair. So it just, yeah, I'm probably going to give it another couple months, see if I can grow it out long enough to do anything, but I'll probably just get frustrated with it and chop it all off again. Um, but you know, as a male approaching 40, I am I am okay if my hair doesn't want to behave as long as it stays on my head because it's already thinning, and you know, as long as it
Yeah.
stays, you know, go wherever you want, just stay there is all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
So
I just wear a hat, and then I
yeah,
get these little tufts of hair that come out when I get my hair
yeah,
gets too long.
yeah.
But
I've considered that because my hair is thinning, and I've thought I look terrible in a hat. I look really goofy in a do rag. I don't want to wear like a really wide brimmed hat or a fedora or a bowler cap. I'm like, how about a like a scarf? Not a scarf. What are they called?
bandana.
Bandana. That's what I was trying to think. I look terrible with headgear. So but I might look
You just haven't found the right hat. All right.
maybe, but I would look probably really awful anywhere between bad male pattern baldness and pure bald. I mean, at some point you're like, oh, screw it, I'm going to shave my head. But I, I mean, imagine me with no hair. I would look really silly. So my only hope is my hair just doesn't thin too bad. 13U Cube asks, do I need glasses or contacts? I'm actually wearing contacts right now. Do I need them? Legally, no. My vision is 2025 and 2030 with astigmatism. So I don't need them. I can see and read and watch TV and drive and all that fun stuff without them, um, but I do wear contacts, yes. And they're actually very recent. I got them in June, I think. So I've only had them a couple of months. But for me, it's kind of like going from 480p to 1080p in real life. You know, it just makes everything sharper. And Jordan says I still have the voice. That's true. No matter how much hair I lose, I still have a nice voice. So thank you. Anyway, okay, moving on. Zachary, have you ever rode on a motorcycle?
I'm trying to think if I actually have or not. Because my dad owns a motorcycle, my brother owns a motorcycle. I'm trying to remember if I've ever actually ridden a motorcycle. I'm probably leaning towards no, but I might have and just can't remember. What about you?
I've ridden on one, and I was really young. This would have been after the divorce. My parents divorced, not mine. But before, so I would have been probably 6 or 7. And my dad had a motorcycle, and he was in an apartment for a while after the divorce, and he would take me and my sister, I think. I'd ride on the back, and we'd just drive around the parking lot, like around the carports. And I've never actually driven a motorcycle, and that's the only time I rode one is when I was like 6. So yeah.
Okay.
Jordan actually has some interesting questions here. Have we ever told anyone off? Your kids don't count.
I'm trying to think if I've told anybody off. I know I've gotten really frustrated and angry with people before. It's like, just shut up and let me talk type thing. I did yell at my boss once, and he was basically trying to tell us how to do our jobs, but he had no clue what he was talking about, and he was trying to tell us how to combine certain products in our inventory, and the way he was telling us how to combine them made no sense whatsoever, because we have have 2 separate products, and then we have a bundle product that includes them both. And so when we count one of them, so if we have product A, product B, and then bundle C, okay. And so he's like, okay, when you present me a count of bundle A, you got to include all of bundles, or when I want to count of product A, you got to include all of bundle C with that count, and the same thing for product B. And he was just he was trying to visualize it on a dry erase board, but he was just making no sense whatsoever in the way he was trying to add this stuff up. And it was just frustrating the crap out of me. And I'm like, hold on, I gotta stop you right there. And I started to show him exactly how I was doing it. And that didn't make him very very happy. He got really mad and yelled at me.
Yeah, I'm sure I've told off my sister at times because I know we've bickered at each other before, but typically when I lose my cool with somebody, I walk away. And I remember Glenn Glenn at work, and this was years ago, just pushed the wrong button, and I think I said, "Go F yourself" or something like that. And I just stood up and I walked out and I got in my car and I left. And my boss, when I came back, an hour later, my boss called me into his office and said, "Okay, now we must have a chat." And so I rarely tell people off. I usually just remove myself from the situation because I know I have a nasty temper. And
I did tell another boss off. This was back when I was a teenager. I was working at Taco Bell, and I used to wear a white T-shirt underneath my uniform, and we had this polo shirt with a button up collar, and I used to wear a T-shirt underneath it, and usually it was white, just because white T-shirts were cheap, and I like to wear a T-shirt underneath my uniform, and so one day, one of the guys that I worked with got promoted to assistant manager, and he went off to training, and then when he came back, he was on this major power trip, and he came up right up to me and said that white T-shirt you're wearing is against company policy. You can't wear it anymore. I'm like, okay, and so I just ignored him and continued to wear it, and he kept getting on to me day after day after day, and it's like we had a company meeting because this management was changing or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was like went from company owned to franchise store, and we had a mandatory store meeting, and he basically he got onto me about it in front of everybody. And so that didn't make me very happy. But then one day I was working, and he wasn't supposed to be in. It was his day off, and I was working, making food, and he comes in to do something, and the manager on duty had locked the office door because there was a cash drawer in there. And he goes up to there. He tried to get into the office. He couldn't get in. He's like, "Oh, she locked the door." And then he looks at me, and I'm making food, and he's like, "You're wearing a white T-shirt, aren't you?" I'm like, "Seriously, dude?" And I'm like, "So?" He's like, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "It means so."
There's still time until Labor Day?
I'm like, "It means so?" And then he just started griping me out about how it's company policy and I gotta do everything according to the book. And he's like, it's like, what if, what if company policy was, or no, it was, he was trying to tell me off, and I'm like, "Dude, this is my underwear you're talking about here. Company policy shouldn't have any control over what underwear I wear." It's like, what are they going to do?
Something over it.
Yeah, it's like, what are they going to do next? Tell us that we have to start wearing bikini briefs to work? And he's like, "Well, if they do, you're gonna do it." I'm like,
"You'll never know if I do or not, buddy."
Yeah, I'm like, "No." He's like, "Well, what if company policy says that you have to dye your hair green?" And I'm like, "Seriously?" And I'm like, "Fine, whatever. I'll dye my hair green." And then that made him even more mad. And he's like, "It's company policy to wash your hands before handling food," and trying to get me on a gotcha. "Are you going to stop washing your hands?" I'm like, "Dude, washing my hands prevents the spread of disease, and this white T-shirt that I wear has no impact whatsoever on customer health or satisfaction." And he's like, "Well, you could just go home." And I'm like, "Fine." I throw off my cap and rip off my uniform shirt and show off my white shirt, and I yell some colorful slurs at him, and then and I walk out the door. And as I'm leaving, I hear the manager on duty yell at him. And then I found out the next day when I came back to officially quit that that she quit. She walked out that day as well. So
Codename Z says, "So means is your life so boring my underwear makes you insane?"
there we go. That would have been great. Yeah. But yeah, I ended up telling him off because it was the dumbest thing ever. And then many years later, I bump into him, and he's an assistant manager at a Little Caesars pizza place. And I'm just like, oh, hi.
Hi. White shirt.
Exactly.
So we'll do one more bucket list. This is from Jordan in the chat. Asks, other than each other, have we ever met a celebrity? And we've never actually met each other face to face. So
yeah.
So
any celebrity? No, I don't think I've ever met a celebrity. I guess it kind of depends on the definition, but like movie star, politician, whatever, something like that. Mm-hmm. No, I've never met anybody like that. I've never really tried.
Anyone who has more than 1,000 followers on Twitter.
I know lots of people who have more than 1,000 followers on Twitter.
But have you met them?
I'm trying to think. I don't keep track of Twitter followers of people that I know. But
let me see. So I met one of the Zucker brothers. Don't remember which. He was trying to put some sketch show together, and I and some other guys were recording we're filming one of the sketches for his show, which I don't think ever aired. Other than that, I met Mercedes or something. Carrera? Is that right?
I don't know.
I think. Hang on. Let me Google. I think that's her name. Let me. It is Carrera. I can't spell. Yeah, Mercedes. That's her, Mercedes Carrera. Met her at a charity auction thing. Recognized her name because we'd actually written about her on Game Politics before. She had the porn charity that she organized to raise money for something, and I'm sorry, I don't remember anymore. But we'd written about her a couple times. She had some interview or public tiff with someone about Gamergate back in the day. So I remember we wrote about her a couple times, and I heard her name at the event I was at, and I was like, there's someone I know. So I walked up and introduced myself and said hi. And,
nice.
That's probably the biggest known named person I off the top of my head that I can met. So Mercedes Carrera and one of the Zucker brothers.
Okay. So. Yeah, I don't go out of my way to meet people, and I guess I don't go to the right social events to meet celebrities. So
yeah, well, I did meet oh crap, what is his name? Hang on. I've met Devin Faraci. I think it's Faraci. Because that's where I learned how to pronounce his name. He writes for Birth Movies Death now. He wrote for Badass Digest, maybe even Chud at the time. I think he was writing. I think it was called Badass Digest at the time. Let me look up that Michael Dougherty. I met Michael Dougherty at a screening of his film Trick or Treat, which I quite enjoyed. I met. I met the guy who played Shelley in Friday the 13th Part 3. At a 3D screening of Friday the 13th Part 3 a couple of years ago. So I've if I sat here long enough, I would probably think of more people, because I do actually go to events and screenings and things like
Yeah.
that. So occasionally I do actually meet known people.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now that I think about it, okay, celebrity wise, the biggest celebrities that I've met would be James Portnow. He writes for Extra Credits. I actually did meet him. I've met the National Libertarian Party chair, Nicholas Sarwark. He came down. He came to Oklahoma when we finally got the Libertarian Party recognized in the state. He came down to hold a press conference with us and everything. So that was really cool. I guess that's, and then Hal Halpin, I guess, could be another person that's as close to a celebrity as I can think of. But
I think his name is Ryan Sharp at E3. He ran maybe still does, a charity. It's a charity that collects video games for hospitals. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Met Dennis McCauley, the founder and original editor of Game Politics. Vince Desi, who is the guy runs Running with Scissors, the studio that does the Postal series. Met several of the developers from there.
Yeah. See, I met Ernest Adams.
I met.
He writes the. He writes the No Twinkie database guy. He's the No Twinkie guy.
Oh yeah. I met I forget her name, but I met the woman who at Hope Labs who did the Remission video game about cancer. She gave me a copy of the game, reviewed it for Game Politics way back in the day.
I got a copy of that game. They all you had to do was write them. They sent you a copy for free. Still haven't played it yet.
It's actually, for what it's supposed to be, it does its job very well, I thought.
Yeah.
I'd tell you to look up the review on GamePol. Well, you'd have to go to archive.org to find it, because
the site's down now, unfortunately. Yeah.
Jordan Thompson's making fun of me. He says, quote, "Oh, I can't remember the specific time I met some celebrity at some porn thing." Andrew, we believe you. I've told this story before, but I was at a charity auction of superhero costumes that were used in the porn parodies of superhero movies. So the XXX version of Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, the Avengers, the costumes that were used in those movies were auctioned off for charity. And somehow I got invited to that thing, and I don't know how or why. But I got a ticket, and I'm like, all right, I'll go up to Hollywood for an evening. That's fine. 13UQ. You remember? Yeah, my phone. I forgot to charge my phone, and I didn't get any pictures. Because the charity auction was divided into two parts. The first half was an auction of just lingerie, and then the second half was the superhero costume stuff. So I didn't waste my space on my memory card on the lingerie. I was like, okay, if I'm getting pictures of anything, I want to get pictures of the superhero outfits. And the first one up, I think, was Scarlet Witch. Yeah, the red headband thing, Scarlet Witch. And I'm like, okay, and I turn on my phone, I get the camera, and I go, okay, all right. I'm like, oh, come on. Right when I was about to take a picture of one of the costumes, my phone dies. I'm like, oh, that's
nice.
But I'm sure you can find pictures of the event somewhere online, or you can see them in the movies. So, which was interesting, because
at least for a short period of time.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I mean, they probably take them off fairly quickly. But I was actually surprised at the quality of some of these costumes. I was wondering, are we getting like Target or Walmart level costumes? But some of the costumes were actually the stunt costumes that were used in the actual movies. The Superman costume was made from the mold that was used to make the costume in Man of Steel. The Spider-Man costume was one of the stuntman costumes, a little raggedy. The Wonder Woman costume was actually an alternate design by the same woman who designed Wonder Woman's costume for Batman v Superman. All kinds of cool stuff. Anyway, So enough about that. Let us move to an actual topic while we've got a couple minutes here. And that's just a few news stories from this week that I found really interesting. Both Sega and Capcom, and I just found out just before the show, Nintendo, have made gamers happy this week by not doing things that typically piss gamers off. So there's a Sonic fan game called Green Hill Paradise Act 2. It's a Sonic fan game, and a YouTube channel called The Game Grumps were let's playing it, and the official Sonic channel commented on the video and said, "Be right back, DMCA time." Just kidding. Keep making great stuff, Sonic fans. And the internet's exploded with, is this the Sega we know? You know, a couple years ago, Shining Force, you remember all that? They're actually okay with us playing fan games, unlike Nintendo, who, took down Mario's No Mario Sky and the Metroid remake, and apparently a bunch of other stuff on some indie site that I can't remember. So a lot of people thought that was really cool. Sega not doing something that ticks them off. Capcom revealed on Twitter a couple days ago the pre-order bonuses for Resident Evil VII, and said in the announcement, here are the retail pre-order bonuses for Resident Evil VII, but no microtransactions will be featured in Resident Evil VII. And fans went, wee! And I sat there thinking, I'm like, yeah, should we really be applauding companies for not doing horrible things? Should we really be baking cookies for that? It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations, good on you. You didn't do a stupid thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they still have stupid things going on with these pre-order bonuses, because there's store-specific pre-order bonuses between GameStop, Best Buy, and Amazon, and each store gets a different outfit and two guns. So they don't mention anything about whether people who pre-order somewhere else will be able to get those things.
Yeah, pre-order bonuses I don't have a problem with, especially when they're like little shot, like a keychain or a sticker sheet or things like that. When it's actual game content that you're holding hostage, that I have a problem with. But little goofy Chotsky, I'm fine with. This is mostly this particular thing where they said no microtransactions are in-game items, first aid kits or first aid sprays, green herbs, things like that. And I can't find it anymore, but I am positive that at some point they clarified that these pre-order bonuses could be used in new save files, so they weren't one-time use like the pre-order bonus items in Square Enix's Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I can't find that anymore, so maybe I made that up, or it was a different game, or I don't remember. But so that was that, and there was actually Sega had another comment this week that I felt was actually pretty bold of them. It was a Sega Europe boss, Jurgen Post, I think, who was given an interview and said, we were a little bit opportunistic, talking about the quality of Sega's games on the Wii back in the day.
Yeah.
We were a little bit opportunistic, signing a lot of titles and doing things that were not necessarily very good. There was a time when you could sell a lot of products, for example, on Wii, but that market has gone. Today, if you want to survive, you need to focus on quality. We want to create games that are very good and have a long tail. So, again, we're kind of applauding a company for saying we're going to try not to make crappy games. It's like, well, good. But there is something rather bold about a AAA company who will go out there on the record and say, we dropped the ball where quality is concerned back in 06 to 010, somewhere around there. So that's kind of nice. And just before the show, I saw another story where Nintendo, at least Nintendo of Japan, the DSi shop is shutting down. So after September 30th, or wait a minute. Okay, so the shop is ending, or you can add point. Okay. In Japan, DSi fans will be unable to add DSi points after September 30th. Following that, on March 31st, DSi users will be unable to purchase games from the DSi shop. Okay, so very soon you won't be able to do anything on the DSi shop. So what if you have DSi points left over? Well, Nintendo is going to give you three options. One, convert your leftover points to an eShop balance for the 3DS and Wii U, transfer the money to the user's specified bank account, or receive cash from particular convenience stores. I am absolutely stunned about 2 and 3 there. That's ridiculous. I never thought that people could get their actual cash back from the DSi points. Now, I'm very... They don't even have to move that over to eShop, but that's really nice of them to do. And that again, that does seem like a very obvious customer service thing. It's like, oh, the money you gave us that you didn't actually redeem, it's all ours. You know, it's not. We still have it. You can use it on this other stuff. I'm actually rather surprised that it's going the extra mile and saying, or we could just refund you to a bank account, or you could get it at a convenience store. Really, Nintendo? Thanks. So I saw these stories this weekend. They're positive things.
Yeah.
And gamers are like wee about them. And I'm feeling kind of hesitant to join them because it's like, are our expectations really that low? That it's like, you didn't screw us on this specific thing. Give me a hug, you know?
What's the conditioning, the medical term for that kind of conditioning? I'm trying to can't remember the term now. Where somebody abuses you and you think Stockholm, that's it. Yes. Where we're like been abused so long that every time they throw us a little bone, we're just like, oh, you're the best person ever type thing.
I mean, it's kind of, if you remember when the Wii U was announced, it's like, and it's HD, and gamers went, yeah. Wait a minute. This should have been HD the last time Nintendo NX comes out, and Nintendo's like, region-free gamers. Boom! Dropping the mic. Huh! Everyone's going to be like, yes, finally. Wait a minute. Should we really be showering you with praise for doing something that you shouldn't have been doing for years? I mean, are we going to celebrate Nintendo for region-free, or a true account system, or friends lists, or not having to go to the Nintendo online store to buy the damn cables to get the best image quality out of your system? I don't know. It's to me, it's kind of indicative that us gamers, our expectations are so damn low that when we don't get screwed, we're jubilant.
Yeah, and that's a really sad state of affairs, in that that these things that should be common practice are not, and it's exciting when it happens. And honestly, we should praise companies for doing this, because if we're silent, then they would think that there's no difference between doing it and not doing it, and so we should praise them, say, yes, keep doing this, and we'll be happy. And we should, in fact, we should gripe them out whenever they do something stupid, even if it is something that everybody does, like DRM. We should continually berate companies who include DRM or do other anti-consumer things. So,
yeah, I agree. I do think positive feedback is important. I'm not advocating that we don't give companies thumbs up when they do good things, even if the good thing is obvious and
yeah,
something they should always do. I'm just noting that it does feel kind of odd. Really, the note that I'm making is that our expectations are like in the damn basement.
yeah.
At this point, we're kind of expecting $60 games with a $50 season pass, with pre-order bonuses and microtransactions, and when that doesn't happen, we're stunned. We're like, really? You're you're not going to rip us off? Oh, thank you. What's that?
Yeah.
What's that, chef? You didn't put shards of broken glass in my lasagna? Oh, thank you. Like, well, yeah, I should certainly hope not. But,
Yeah.
so, anyway, that's where we're going to call it for tonight. I'm on call, so we do have to shut off the show here pretty quick. Um, So let us plug our stuff and leave. Andrew Eisen here. Eisen is how you spell the last name. Uh, I actually have a bunch of stuff coming up. So I have a new YouTube series that is going to debut on October 1st called 30 Days of Comics, where each day I read a comic series, or at least as much of one as I can. So usually about 2 to 6 issues. It's whatever's available on the Comixology Unlimited program.
Hmm.
And each day I look at a new comic series. That starts in October. That will run for 30 days. Also, the Extra Life Charity Gaming Marathon is on Saturday, November 5th. And I will once again be participating. If you'd like to make a pledge, go over to Extra. There's a hyphen in here, extra-life.org/participant/Andrew Eisen, and you'll find my page. Make a donation. It's tax deductible. All the money goes to helping the children of Rady Children's Hospital here in San Diego. So over the last 3 years, through your guys' support, we've raised, I think, 1,500 something for Rady Children. So excellent. Hoping to raise at least $500 this year. And so I'll be doing the 24-hour live stream on November 5th. Starting in October, and October 1st, I think, is a Saturday. Let me check. Yeah, so starting October 1st, Saturday at 2 p.m. every day, for an hour or two, I'll be streaming games every Saturday in October leading up to the charity event. I'm still trying to decide if I will do, if I'll use Twitch or YouTube. Not really sure yet. Twitch has a nice feature in that when I start streaming, you get a notification. I don't think YouTube does the same thing. On the other hand, it's exporting footage from Twitch to my YouTube channel is a real pain in the butt. So if you have any feedback, let me know. So
Okay.
that's what's on my plate. Follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen and like me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Andrew Eisen YouTube. Codename Z asks, will I be playing Zombie U? Probably not. Jordan asks, is manga an option? Yes, it is, but I don't know if I've read any of it. I don't think I'm going to be reading any on the show. I don't remember. It is an option, but I
Hmm.
may or may not. Don't know. So Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Knight. You can follow my game development work at DK_gaming on Twitter, and it's divineknightgaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, you can check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and okgamedev.com. And there you go.
And Laxter tells me that there are services that stream to both Twitch and YouTube at the same time and combine the chats. Restream.io. Okay, I'll look into that. Thanks for the tip.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I actually did not know that, so that's cool. All right, that is it for us. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching the show. Hope you had a good time, and we will see you next week. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye.